Hey guys, Steve here. In today's video, I'll be reviewing the Saucony Peregrine 10 Trail Runners. Hi everyone. So I needed to pick up a new pair of trail runners for hiking simply because my old pair, the Salomon Sense Rides, are just absolutely done. I've logged in over 600 miles. The lugs are gone. These shoes are just shredded. So after doing some research, I decided to pick up the Saucony Peregrine 10 Trail Runners. Now I've logged in just about 50 miles in these, and I've tested these out in some really harsh trail conditions. Everything from wet trails, snowy trails, muddy, slushy, just really sloppy trail conditions. Basically your typical Pacific Northwest winter trails. So, are the Saucony Peregrine 10 Trail Runners a shoe that I would recommend for hikers? Let's find out. Quick disclaimer, nobody gave me these to do a review. I bought these at full price, so I get to say whatever I want. And as usual with my reviews, I'm going to go over the specs and features, my likes and dislikes, and then my final thoughts. All right, now that we're zoomed in, let's get started. The Saucony Peregrine 10s have a 4mm drop. So it's 27 millimeters in the heel and 23 millimeters in the forefoot. This is a size 10.5 and they weigh 11.7 ounces. So although this isn't the lightest trail runner you can get, it is certainly way lighter than any other traditional hiking boot. Now let's start from the top and then move down. The top has a mesh material and it's got a good number of overlays around the shoe. So what the overlays do is helps to protect your foot from rocks, and it also helps to keep your foot dry. So if you're crossing a creek, the overlays will help to prevent water from getting up and over into the shoe. Continuing with the upper, Saucony uses what they call a form fit. And I gotta say, when I took these out of the box and put my foot in, right off the bat, they were comfortable. I didn't feel like I needed to break these in to finally get that nice, comfortable feel. So again, the form fit worked out great. Moving on to the tongue. The tongue is moderately cushioned, and it is a gusseted tongue. So what that means is that the tongue is connected to the side of the shoe. And the reason for this is to just lock down the tongue, and it prevents the tongue from shifting from one side to the other. The tongue also has a stretch loop, and this is where you would tuck in the laces so they're not flopping back and forth. Moving on to the toe box. The toe box for me had plenty of room, no issues there. Now I'm a size 10.5 and I felt that these were true to size. The fit was just right, and for me, like I said, plenty of room in the toe box. Now, if you do have really wide feet, then yeah, you may want to go with like the Ultra running brand shoe, and they're known for having wide toe boxes. But for me personally, no problems with the fit. Now, in between the midsole and the outsole, the Peregrine 10s do have a rock plate. So what that is it's a thin piece of plastic. You can see some of the rock plate exposed right there. It's a thin piece of plastic that helps to protect your foot on the trail. So for instance, if you're on a trail and there's some sharp rocks on there, the rock plate will prevent those sharp rocks from digging into your foot. And finally, moving now to the outsole of the shoe, Saucony uses what it calls its power track material. The outsole uses an aggressive 5mm depth lugs in a chevron style pattern. So now that we have an overview of the Saucony Peregrine 10s, let's get into my likes and dislikes. So starting out for my likes is definitely going to be the upper, and especially the form fit. So I feel like the form fit does a really good job of molding to your feet. So like I said before, right out of the box, when I put my feet in these, it was already comfortable. I didn't feel like I needed to break these in to finally get that nice, comfortable fit. So right off the bat, the form fit is comfortable, thumbs up. So my next like is the mesh and overlays of the upper. The mesh material is breathable and the overlays provide a good amount of protection against rocks and water getting into the shoe. The mesh material also is quick drying. So I've been through a number of creeks and streams where my feet are totally immersed in water, and coming out from the water back onto the trail, with every step I was taking, I can see the water just getting pushed right out of the shoe. So instead of the water just being locked in, it was nice to see that every step I was taking, the water was getting pushed out. So that was a plus. For my third like, again, I'm going to stick with the upper, the lacing system. Really like the lacing system. I can get a good lockdown. The laces stay tied. And I also like the stretchable loop that's on the tongue where the laces will fit under there, prevents the laces from going all over the place. So in terms of lacing, good job. And for my final like of the Peregrine 10s, I'm going to go with the outsole. So while looking for a pair of new trail runners, I really needed something that could handle the conditions of the Pacific Northwest. I needed an outsole that was grippy, had good traction on all different sorts of terrain and surfaces. And the Peregrine 10s, it has that 5mm lug depth, the aggressive lug pattern. I've taken these out on trails on all sorts of conditions, muddy conditions, wet trail conditions, slushy trails, very sloppy trails. And the Peregrine 10s were able to handle all of that. Terrain, rocky terrain, flat terrain, the Peregrine 10s was able to do a nice job on those trails. But this is going to lead me into my dislike of the Peregrine 10s, and that's going to be the outsole. So yes, it is a like for me. The dislike has to do with some of the trails had some wet rocks and was really super muddy, and the outsole just did not bite down on those wet rocks as much as I would like. So rocks that are next to a river or wet rocks around a waterfall. If I was hiking on those rocks around the waterfall through a creek or stream with those wet rocks, the outsole did not bite down and I could slip pretty easily. But other than that, that's my only dislike of this shoe. The weight, I'm not going to put as a dislike 11.7 ounces for a 10.5. It's not the lightest trail runner, but when you actually put this on your foot, it doesn't really feel all that heavy. So that's why I'm not going to put that as a dislike. Now let's get into price. The Saucony Peregrine 10s go for $120. And yeah, I think that's okay. I think that price is just right. For what you're getting, $120 is spot on. Durability, I've put in, like I said, about 50 miles in these. The outsole looks good. So far, there's no breakdown of the upper at all. So durability, it looks like it's going to do a good job. Probably last 500 miles or so. That's the estimate I'm going to put on these. In terms of color, the Peregrine 10s do come in a few different colors. I opted for the pine and orange color. And yeah, I'm actually digging this color. I actually like this color a lot. All right, so for my final thoughts on the Saucony Peregrine 10s, the upper comfortable, the midsole, not too plushy, not too firm, also comfortable. The outsole does a good job handling all different sorts of terrain and conditions. For the most part, it is grippy, has good traction. Now, if you're looking to hike trails that are flat or buffed out, then an aggressive trail runner like this is not for you. But if you're in an area and you're hiking all different sorts of terrain, rocky terrain, wet conditions, snowy conditions, then I think the Peregrine 10s will do a fine job for you. I've been happy with them. I'm going to continue using them. And do I recommend these for hikers? Absolutely. All right, guys, that is it for the video. I hope you got something out of it. So if you're looking for a pair of aggressive trail runners when you're hiking, check out the Saucony Peregrine 10s. Leave a comment below. Let me know what trail runners you use when you're hiking. If you haven't already, click that subscribe button for more hikes and gear reviews. And I'll see you next week. Take care.